Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Rewriters of History. Um, Today we are going to go back in time after a couple of scenes. Theo and Max, do you remember around where we'd left off last time, or should I do a quick recap?
A recap would be much appreciated.
Okay, so after getting the Anubis to capture all of the neo-Nazis that you had a trouble with in Chicago, you went back towards the you went back to the observatory and started preparing stuff there because you have a new convergence coming soon. Um, some of you started training, some of you started doing some research into that verse. So we had like the different characters doing different things. I don't exactly recall what everybody was doing. Um, but I do know that there was a that you were preparing to show um, the Hermes that you had recruited both Lucius and Chris into the um, into the team, into the people who work at the observatory. So yeah, that was one of the things. And after that is you have like about a week to prepare for next convergence. Um, so yeah, what would your characters do during this time? How much would you show of the Hermes to Lucius, and how much do you explain things to him? By the way, your characters aren't since Lucius doesn't have an Archon and a Diva. You don't know if Lucius would be able to enter the Great Book with you. He might not. He's a bit he's a bit of an anomaly in terms of powers because his powers don't seem to be coming from the same place as yours, even though they are sometimes similar. He knows some of the verses that you know. So yeah, probably there might need to be a little bit of a experimenting here. So at the beginning of the week, when you come back from showing Chris in the memory palace of Alison Melfi, um, where would you have left Lucius Black before you handed off to the observatory? Or would you have brought him along with you?
I would have probably brought him along.
Okay.
Lucius would have been very interested in going, so that would not be a problem at all. He's been kind of awakened to the fact there's a lot of other things going on, and this seems to be a team of people that are moving in a direction that is not against him. I think he would be sticking with them pretty closely.
All right. So it should be mentioned for you that basically the group that you're joining, they are undercover in where they work. They are a splinter faction called the Neo Hermes, inside of an organization that has vowed to destroy them called the Hermes, and they work in an observatory at the top of Mauna Kea in Hawaii, with while pretending to be part of this organization, part of the Hermes. Um, so you've got a couple of options here where your characters could be included into the Hermes team and hence allowed to go move around wherever you want in the observatory, do your own thing, and join the team basically, or they could not talk about your presence at all, and it would make it you would not be known to them, but you wouldn't have the credentials to move around openly in the observatory basically. So
What kind of conversations could we have had before we actually get there? Because it's a long plane ride at the very least. And, you know, before we get there, I'm sure we've had a little bit of time to speak about certain things.
I'm sure you have. So let's as your characters are alone in the same car to discuss more secretive things on your way up to Mauna Kea, what would Philip have? How would Philip prepare Lucius to this?
Honestly, probably a lot of genuine honesty. Just knowing that going in blind is not the best way to do all this, and so he'll answer any questions Lucius has and try to make things as clear and understandable as possible.
Well, Lucius is, especially after all that we've been through in a very short period of time, is very open to hearing what Philip would have to say. Probably there's not times in his life that he's actually been through things with other people. He's always kind of done it on his own, but not really ever had people go out to bat for him, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
He's a lot more open right now and very curious to what's really going on. So if Philip starts saying, like, explaining what's going on in this way, he's going to respond to that very well.
Okay.
And he's going to be direly curious to find out what's going on. Like if this is like the forbidden fruit, like you have to cross something to get into this forbidden cult or whatever it is. He doesn't even know. It's probably not a cult, but maybe it is or whatever. He's going to be so curious, his magician side, that he's going to say, okay, yeah, I'm joining. That's it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, cult wouldn't be entirely wrong.
Yeah, they do have this weird prayer to Orpheus that they do every now and then, which was the founder of the entire thing, and a lot of the members of the Hermes do pray to him. So,
okay, well, he's not going to be choosing or changing or whatever anything that has to do with powers that he has or anywhere that it came from, but he really wants to find out more.
Okay, so yeah, what's Oliver? You know a bit more, you know, the logistics of how to introduce people in here and how to use your credentials to make this work. What is your if you're going to be showing him to the Hermes? What is he to be for the Hermes? What is going to be his role in the organization? Is he like your test subject, since he has those weird powers that you can't really explain, or is he a collaborator? Yeah, what are you? What's your angle?
He's going to be helping me with security for this facility, since he's very good at getting places he's not supposed to.
All right.
Or better at talking, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
So he's going to be helping me with security on that, as opposed to my technical end of stuff.
Okay. Because he is not an official member of the Hermes yet, and he hasn't like done any of the usual steps to get in, it might get a bit complicated for him if he's not like because you'd be revealing to him some of the secrets of the Hermes just by letting him hang around and see what people like what the Hermes are doing. So.
Oh no, he is going to be part of the Hermes. Like I'm going to induct him into it and all of that stuff.
Okay, so you so you're basically saying Are you like saying that you're his teacher, the person who's introducing him to the secret arts, or are you selecting another person to be like his official mentor?
I would like to say whatever you say, he's going to play along because he's a subterfuge type of person, and you're on his team, you're sure. So he's going to go with whatever you say and then play it out to the finalist. Okay.
Oliver is going to suggest that Professor Selena Murray, she's the boss lady, right? Yes. Be his teacher?
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah, so, because it's not going to occur to Oliver that he is now in a position that he is allowed and probably should take people.
But so you want so you want to try to convince Selena to take him as an apprentice? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean she'll probably like the strange aspects of his power, so
Okay.
I'm going to try to play on that. And I will tell you about this before Lucius before we get there.
Okay.
And suggest maybe you might want to start trying to move her in a direction more sympathetic to our goals. Well, at least the group's goals, not necessarily yours. But
that's not a problem. That's not a problem for him because that's what he does. It's just he doesn't know what those goals are.
And yeah, Oliver and Theo, I assume, Oliver and Philip will go over that with both Chris and Lucius, I assume.
Okay. There had been a mention of it, like during the last game, where your characters started talking about like what exactly you were doing, and through the conversation, Chris started having doubts as to like the fact that you are creating a lie. You're creating you're rewriting history to try to fool the gods into thinking that humans are better than they were. So that's I can't wait to see if Lucius has one of those moments as well. Okay.
Well, Lucius doesn't care. This is a really new thing for him. So as far as he's concerned, he's a trickster. Mm-hmm. So whatever the gods are doing, obviously they gave him some sort of power or some sort of ability, and so he's wanted somehow. But he believes very strongly that his purpose in this is to also be a trickster. That's why he's been doing magic, and that's why he's done all these other things, real life and other life magic, and supernatural and stuff. So he's really like, if he's part of the team, so if they prep him to do certain things, he's going to do that to the absolute best of his ability.
All right. So if there is at any point during the conversation with Selena, any moment where you have a misstep, we can retcon it, and I have a flashback of them, preparing you, telling you like, oh, you don't want to do those things or something like this. So you reach the observatory, and you go up. You go up to Selena Murray's workplace, her office, and when you enter, she says, "Finally, you're back from your mission. I hope you're proud of yourselves. You managed to capture an entire cell of people who had stolen formulas on how to create a homunculus from us a long time ago, and so now my superiors have changed their minds, and they're willing to be more forgiving for your past infringements on our rules."
What infringements have I done? I still don't understand.
You all right, so wait, I think like you might have been able to hide from them part of this part, that one case, that one case that you had never been found for, and just like when they you know recruited you and stuff like this, they asked you to be honest, and you didn't tell them about this thing either.
Yeah, I mean, they knew exactly who they were recruiting. Oliver is amazingly shocked that they're surprised that he hid stuff from them. Like, he doesn't comprehend how someone could
Yeah.
not think that about that option.
Yeah, I think that there's a bit of hypocrisy there with the Hermes, where they expect you to come clean when you enter their ranks, but after that they expect you to hide your secrets so that all the other um, so that other groups don't find them and don't like learn about their secrets and stuff like this. So it's a bit weird, I suppose. Um, but yeah, basically she's saying um, uh, we we weren't sure we could trust you because of those things you hid from us, but you have proven your loyalty once again. So should be as long as there are no more infringements, there should be no problems. And who is this person who's here with you? Is I assume he's been cleared to be in to be here while we're having a conversation about Hermes and other occult subjects.
I certainly hope so. I intend for him to be our second newest recruit.
All right. So you have this informant that you're bringing in, who's going to try to infiltrate the Neo Hermes, and who is this going to be?
He's going to be helping me with some more social security at the facility.
All right. This is a bit unorthodox. Does he have a teacher inside of the 8 already?
I was thinking about you. I think you'll find him quite interesting. I'll let him explain.
I don't think I'll have time for a student. I'm not like I'm not a teacher like Stefan Lisowski, unless he has something fantastic to show for it. Is
Lucius
hmm?
mutters very quietly in Latin and then teleports behind her.
Okay.
Teleports behind you. It's nothing personal, kid.
Right. He just teleports behind her. And then, while he's behind her, and as the horse hoofs move and everything like that and the sound, he says, I've been galloping toward this as a collision course of destiny for a long time.
You were able to. That's really weird. I don't see any karma coming off of you. Do you have a verse that is hiding your karma somehow? Who is this guy?
Take him as a student and find out.
So she doesn't. She's not surprised or anything.
She is, but this teleportation power is something that is known to the Hermes because it's verses, and Hermes use verses a lot. She is surprised that you were able to use it without showing without it showing at all that you have karma, because you don't. She's like she is. Yeah, she's a bit more surprised than the way I played her.
Okay. And then Lucius says, then I don't understand some things, and you don't understand some things, but that's okay if we're on the same team, isn't it? We've been through a lot. He gives her a bow, and he hands his magic card. And he says, we've been through a lot together. This team, we have literally fought and nearly died together. And now they want me to be a part of this, and I am so happily intrigued about what is going on. I've never had anyone like these people in my life. I believe I am supposed to follow this path.
Do any of you have any
That's
idea where his powers are coming from? I'm very curious about this.
Philip just gives a shrug.
As I said, take him as a student and find out. Think about the discoverer you'd be contributing to the Hermes if you could figure this out.
She gets up and she says, "You're right. Follow me, Mr. Black. You've been introduced with your name, I suppose."
Yeah, I gave the magic card. It says Lucius Black. Yeah. It probably says like something along the lines, because magicians can do this type of thing, where they have a secret message or something on the back of the card, or something like that. But it probably says, "You don't know my powers," or something like that on the back.
Okay. So she takes you to the infirmary and she gets your blood drawn, and she says she's going to, run a couple of alchemical experiments to understand where your powers could come from, and she'll consider taking you as a student because there might be a lot for you to learn from each other. But she wants to make sure that it's no offense, dear, but I'm a very busy person, and you we'll see if taking you in as a student is worth my time, depending on how it can affect my service of the of the.
I don't think Hermes. That Lucius would want his blood to be drawn, frankly. So, I don't think so. I think he'd be a little suspicious. Like, he knows these other people, but he doesn't know her.
Yeah.
And he's wondering if they're going to put a drug into his system or something. He's a very tricky person, but he always thinks of the same thing coming back on himself.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, you don't need to draw my blood. No, that's not, no. You don't have to put a needle in me. I hate needles. These things, they're the worst. And then he would probably feign a fear of needles, even though he doesn't have one.
Okay. Yeah. She turns to you, Oliver, and says, "Who did you bring me? Does he have a? Can't he use his power source to heal himself? You brought me someone who's afraid of needles."
Everyone's afraid of something. Needles are quite common fear.
All right, listen, Mr. Black. We are alchemists. We learn about the things we don't understand by studying the compounds, the things that make them. If I drew Mr. Oliver's blood, Mr. Hill's blood, I would be able to tell that he has an Archon and a Diva, and I would be able to know that they
What
are
is an Archon and what is a Diva?
They are the source of those people's powers, of our power.
Okay.
And I need
If you need my blood, I will draw it myself, right in front of you.
All right. Go ahead.
He's going to search if there are other syringes or other things that he can do, and he probably is not. Well, actually, he is carrying not a needle, but not a syringe, but he is actually carrying needles and stuff like that on himself. He's literally thinking right now, how can I do this myself completely by switching everything that they have? And then he's afraid.
Yeah, you're afraid of your blood ending up in their hands.
No, not as much as that, but afraid of being drugged or afraid of being changed into somebody else, or he doesn't really know. He's really on the tip of his wits right now.
I think Oliver might have like explained in advance. Like we can do a flashback, like I mentioned, where you're like back in the car and Oliver would be explaining stuff about like why a procedure like this might be important to understand the alchemy. But you might definitely you can use your own stuff as long as you give her the blood. It'll be fine by her.
Okay.
That's probably something Theo, or why do I keep doing that? Philip would be explaining, because Philip is, I mean, Stefan is my mentor as well, but for the most part I spend my time with the Jackal, whereas Philip spent his time with with Stefan. So that's probably a lot more exposure to alchemy than Oliver had.
Okay.
The Jackal was more, this is how you kill someone. This is how you kill someone more effectively. This is how you torture someone. This is how you torture someone and get information out of them.
Yeah, well, I think
Torture
that
for beginners.
I think Lucius would be very interested in what Philip has to say. Frankly, everyone has to say, but if that's what Philip is saying, then he would be tracking that very deeply. So is there any advice that Philip maybe would have given him to prepare him for this moment?
Just know that for now, they're not going to fully trust you, but we have Oliver backing you up, and Oliver has a lot of good reputation with this group right now. So even if they don't fully trust you, they're not going to try and pull anything too wild or weird with Oliver around. So as long as you stay close to him, you'll be okay. And really, I think, just stay in his company.
If Lucius knew that they were going to take a blood sample, he would have gotten his own needles, and he would have done his own thing, and he would have got it all set ready for himself and not let anyone else do it to himself. Because
would it be okay if, for example, Oliver did it or not? Because I know he has some points in
one of his friends can do it. One of the friends, but he would have gotten his own needles if possible.
Yeah.
But anyway, if one of his friends needs to do it, he would have. He feels much better about that than somebody who he doesn't know.
Okay. Oliver, you have like 4 points in medicine. I'm not going to make you roll, but would you take his blood?
Sure. I don't think it's so much medicine as first aid, but sure, Oliver can try drawing blood.
First aid is under the skill medicine.
Yeah, right. But I figure with this skill of 4, it's more first aid than actual medical knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, that's too much blood leaving your body. We should stop that.
Yeah.
Well, this is a phlebotomy.
Blow out all his veins.
Right.
So, okay.
Okay. Selena is going to run a couple of tests, and after checking the results, she comes back and she says, "Oh well, thank you, Oliver, thank you, Mr. Hill, for bringing me this very interesting specimen. His blood has some very interesting qualities, and I cannot wait to test out his powers and their source. Would you wouldn't mind if I borrowed him a couple of hours every day from your from whatever security work you have him with, so that I can teach him and try to understand his powers a bit better. The then Hermes from the Memory Palaces would be very, very happy with any sort of research produced from this.
I mean, as long as Mr. Black agrees to your research, and there's nothing pressing security-wise, you are going to be his teacher.
Very well. Let's find out a little bit more about your powers, Mr. Black. Follow me.
Okay. Lucius grabs Philip in the face and looks at him straight in the eyes and says, "Am I safe?"
Philip, what do you say?
Shit, sorry, I didn't realize my mic was muted. I said immediately yes.
Are you sure?
Is that a lie?
Like, no,
mean-
he is trying. Lucius is trying his best right now to figure out if he is gonna be turned into a really mutated version of Wolverine or something weird like that. Like, is he going into medical experiments? Is, he doesn't know, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
so he's looking at
Nothing
somebody.
Like that.
He's looking at somebody that he trusts, and he's looking and he's saying, trying to look the best in those eyes and say, is this what I want? So he's trying his best. So is there a die roll or something that I can make to figure out?
Yes, you can roll for empathy to see if Philip is being honest or not. Philip, if you are being dishonest, you need to roll for subterfuge or persuasion to try to persuade Lucius that he's going to be fine, even if he isn't. So are you honestly think that that he'll be safe with Selena? Because she's probably only going to be asking him like to show off his powers and try to understand what their source is.
Yeah, like Philip believes that with Oliver's influence, that Selena isn't going to do anything too off the rails.
So even though I made, or Lucius made 1 on the D12 on this roll, and doesn't take the darkness, always takes the light.
Okay. So you're not. You can't be absolutely certain. You get the feeling that there's a good chance Philip is being honest, and since you've shown trust into the team before, you can follow this, but you have no certainty that you're going to make it out in one piece. Do you follow Selena to show your powers?
Have you ever heard of the longest pause in radio history? Yeah, it's kind of like this.
Just standing there.
Yeah,
looking back and
kind
forth.
of. Like there's this like Lucius kind of lets Philip's hands go.
Come on, hurry up! I don't bite. And Selena takes you by the sleeve and like pulls you.
Then turns around and goes away, but feeling kind of like a dog is about to be sacrificed or something.
Oh,
You gotta stop using that metaphor.
Was the end of
Right.
Lucius Black.
the metaphor that breaks me.
Oh, come on. It's a good storytelling device. Let's keep going. Yeah, he rolled a 1 on his... he's still trusting. Okay, well, he's not really trusting, but he's like, I have to do this. Okay, so let's do it.
Okay. Okay. You're taken to the sides. You're taken to like basically one of the more isolated chambers of the observatory, and she asks you a lot of questions about your powers, about when they manifested and stuff like this. So for scenario purposes, do you remember we mentioned that your powers awakened when you visited this weird place that I called that is called a garden in this setting.
Yes, yes,
Um,
I do. I
yeah,
do remember that.
I just want to change slightly what I said. It's not going to be in Greece. It's going to be in the Bermuda Triangle, like I already originally suggested, because it's going to come up later as important. Would you be okay uh
Sure.
with us going
Yeah,
with that?
sure.
All right. So yeah, your powers came about in this place where you were basically drawn to it by the visions before you got your powers. And once you reached this place, you did get your powers because you felt that this place was imbued with whatever was calling you, and that you brought some of that back out with you. It was sort of a parallel dimension where time was happening much faster, much slower there. I think an hour there is a year back in the real world. So you didn't spend that much time there, but yeah, you got your powers. Selena tries to figure out where you got your powers. Do you answer honestly, or do you make up a lie when it gets to that point?
Probably make up a lie
Okay.
that is similar to what the truth is, but not really the truth, but kind of trying to hide. Like, he wants to figure out if she knows what she's doing
Yeah.
by testing her, by being very close, but not quite.
Yeah. She seems confused as hell as to where your powers could come from, but she is taking a lot of notes, and she keeps repeating, "Ah, yes, surely the masters will know what this is about." Um, so yeah, after a couple of hours, she says, "All right, next time tomorrow, and we will start seeing how your powers can be used." Um, but in the meantime, take a rest, stick around, and if you're a good apprentice, you soon I will teach you about the secrets of the Hermes. So,
Okay, so yeah, he's testing her as well.
mhm. All right, yeah, you're going to be able to basically have an in, have like if you want to develop the domain Hermes in order to have the like her as a contact that you can get information from using your influence or network, you can spend a bit of experience points now or later to get the Hermes as a domain. But yeah, so now you have like you are allowed to like you're added to the list of people that know about the secret of this observatory and that it's used to observe history instead of observing the stars. Because the night sky is basically this. It's called the Great Book, and that's where the archons and the divas of dead people recorded bits and pieces of history. And yeah, um, Philip and Oliver, are you? What are you going to do with Lucius when he during his free time?
I mean,
Philip will like have probably an emotional check-in to make sure Lucius is doing okay. Because after seeing him like that concerned, he's not. I don't think he's ever seen Lucius that concerned for his own safety, and so he wants to make sure that he's feeling okay.
So how do you so like you meet him again outside of Doctor Professor Murray's office, and
Mm-hmm.
what do you say?
And just I'll start out with a very casual. So how did it go?
It was amazingly good.
That's good.
Yeah.
So, not too much to worry about then.
Okay, Lucius grabs his face again and looks straight in the eyes and says, "Am I going to be okay?"
I don't know.
Thank you for being honest.
Of course. You're gonna have to do this, but we're gonna keep you as safe as we possibly can.
Am I a prisoner? And he still has Philip's hands, or face, right in his hands, and he's like, "Am I really a prisoner, or is this something different?"
This is something different.
Oh wow! I thought so. So what do I...
Just to add to the weirdness of the scene, Oliver, do you want to be here and present and seeing Lucius just holding Philip's head and asking weird questions?
I mean, sure, why not? I mean, Oliver does have to give Lucius a tour of the facility and start getting suggestions on some more security ideas, because she actually needs it, and it needs to look like he's doing his job and that Lucius is doing the job. So, well, he'll definitely be there, waiting for this to end.
Okay, so I guess on the side of the scene, Lucius doesn't know that Oliver is there.
Oh, he's in the back of the corridor and you haven't noticed?
Yeah, he just didn't see.
All right.
And so he does this because he wouldn't do that if there were someone else there.
Okay, I hadn't realized.
And so he doesn't. No, he wouldn't do that. But the thing is, it's even better. Your narrative is even better. So it's like he just is so into this, and then it turns out that there is someone else there.
Oliver's just leaning against a wall or a table,
or watching, or yeah. And this is a guy that is normally so strong on seeing everything, but this time does not see it.
And then there's a pause and nobody says anything, and I think one of the Hermes, probably Lisbeth, with a bit of research under her arms, just crosses the corridor, looking at everyone, then just keeps going. So what are your characters going to do after that? Oliver, you mentioned you were going to tour the place and check for security gaps?
Yeah, first he's going to say, I can come back later if you need. I don't want to interrupt something, but whenever you're free, Mr. Black, we should probably make it look like, well, we should probably actually put you to work.
Okay. Lucius just stands up, caught and embarrassed, and then follows off to do exactly what he's supposed to do.
So go ahead and roll for intrusion. Basically, that's the skill to get into places. So when you're testing out the security of a place, you roll for intrusion to see if you'd be able to get in. And
who?
Yeah,
Both of us?
No, I think
Apprentice?
Lucius does it. He brings in his new eye, and you I think it's more interesting if you roll for subterfuge if you're like, just, uh, um, pretending to be busy at work and stuff like this.
Well,
For a living.
Lucius got a good roll, 16
Yeah.
total.
That's you passed the difficulty of 12. So yeah, you're able to find different gaps. It looks like you're doing your job. Like you find a couple of ways that people might find out about the Hermes. You, Yeah, you do know that they have some powers, so that some people might have ways of like hiding things a bit more concretely and stuff like this. But just taking into consideration what you know about supernatural powers, about how somebody could teleport like you do, you find a couple of ways that security could be tightened. Okay. What are your characters going to be doing during this week-long time before before you have to go into the Julius Caesar's verse? Are you going to train, do some research, or uh, yeah, how are you preparing? I assume you're still doing your work at the observatory, each of you, but just when you have free time, what do you do?
Okay, well, Lucius doesn't really know that they're going into this. So,
I think they I think they would have warned you like on your way here. I believe. I'm sorry if I'm like, yeah. I think I should let you guys role play it out and like present that to him that this is going to happen. So.
All right. When would be a good time to do that?
Now in the cafeteria is a perfect time.
Yeah, in the middle of all the Hermes. Oh, yeah, by the way, we're going back in time to rewrite a verse. Don't tell these guys everywhere around us.
You
I
could.
don't know if anything. You go ahead,
What?
Simon.
Oh yeah,
what verse?
I was mentioning that we could do another version of the introduction to Alisson that we had done last time because that's a good like quiet place to talk.
Also,
True.
actually, yes. Oliver is curious of whether Lucius can go into verses and go into memory palaces and stuff, so that is something he wants to try.
Okay.
So can I be clear about this?
Yeah. What do you tell him before you bring him to the vault room? Or once you get into the vault room?
We're going to test some of the equipment in here. It will be interesting and enlightening for you. Most definitely enlightening. I think you'll like it quite a bit.
So we're going back in time, literally to do some job for the gods. And then you don't know if I can actually go with you or not, but you hope I can because I have mad skills. But if I can't go, then you don't know what the consequences of that are either. And this is all up in the air, basically.
That sounds about right. You're an unknown quantity.
I am so in. This sounds like the best thing in ever.
It is exceptionally interesting.
It sounds like, how can you ever not do this?
Okay.
we're all gonna die someday.
So, like, I think Oliver, or I think Philip, you have like your hand on the lever to like activate the vault room right now, which you've closed. Um, do you tell him what's gonna happen before you do it, or do you just let him have the surprise?
I would tell him. I wouldn't. Yeah. No,
Oliver
Philip's
wasn't
gonna be
gonna
open and
tell
honest
him.
about all of this.
Lucius is like, wait, just do it. Just do it.
Okay, Philip will do it.
All right. So yeah, there's a sort of snap in the reality around you, and suddenly there's like bright colors, a bit like when you enter hyperspace, or either in Star Wars, or if you like, or a bit like the Bifrost in 4. It looks like you're inside of this, and you find yourself speeding away from the ground. And like heading at incredible speeds in a head-on collision with a galaxy, and just before you are going to like collide with that galaxy, you find yourself simply in Scarda, in this front lawn for a university, in front of this portal that calls it the University of Lincoln. And yeah, today you find its two inhabitants fencing against each other, and as you arrive, they both drop their equipment, their swords, and come towards you. So, um, for Lucius, those people, it's going to be Apollo the Diva and Alisson Melfi the Astromancer.
What?
So it's these two characters. And they look exactly the same, just they're dressed differently.
Okay, Lucius doesn't know a thing about these people.
Yes. So Alisson comes forward and says, "Oh, this is the other guest that you mentioned you'd be bringing over the last time. Welcome, Mr. You're Lucius Black, is that right?"
Correct. He gives a bow.
I'm Alisson Melfi. I'm the head of this project that you're becoming a part of. I work. I united the team that that you trusted enough to come here, and yes, this is my diva Apollo. If you need anything, or if you need a reminder of the rules, you can always ask them. Apollo says, "Welcome to the Memory Palace of Alisson Melfi. In this place, there are a couple of rules. Please don't bring any weapons when you enter, and don't stay here past 1 a.m. in the morning. And last of all, what's the third rule? Yes, the heat, the boiler room in the underground is never to be opened. Is that clear?"
Okay, Lucius looks at Philip.
Looks at who?
Philip.
Philip,
You can trust her
you're the
more
guide.
than you can trust anybody else here.
Just looking for whatever type of feedback that Philip gives.
Yeah.
Yeah, Philip will give an encouraging nod and just try to show through his facial expression that you can trust Alisson more than anybody else you've met.
Okay, well then, after seeing that, then Lucius will turn and give a very similar nod to what Philip just gave.
Right. So, Alisson tells you, "I hear you have My friends tell me that you have strange powers that seem to be coming from the Capricorn. That is a very fascinating account, and I've never seen anyone who's being able to use powers like yours without an Archon and a Diva before. And uh, obviously, you're still alive after being transferred here after a couple of seconds. And if you were a normal human, your body would have had a heart attack and you'd have ceased to exist by now. So, you're
What
able.
happens when you
Huh?
is that what happens when you transport a normal human like this?
Oh, yes. The only reason it didn't happen to our friend, what's his name, Eric Douglas, is because like that was going to be a plot point that was going to come back later for Jonathan's campaign, but basically he's a homunculus. He's a clone of his uncle, and that's why the work in white that had been prepared by his uncle could work on him. And homunculus are able to stop their hearts and restart them when they're transported into those places at no problem.
Interesting.
But yeah, they didn't want to mention this to him because of being told that you're just a clone of someone and the effects that can have on somebody's mind.
It's probably a good call.
So, welcome. If you have any questions, this place is my memory palace. It's where I stored all of my memories in my mind, and when I was murdered, I came to this part of the night sky and recreated my memory palace thanks to my Archon and my Diva. Apollo did a fantastic work on the architecture, and I exist here now that I no longer have a body to return to on Earth.
Okay, Lucius is very interested, but also, I guess he's he doesn't know what to say.
Yeah, he's a bit yeah.
Takes a bit of getting used to, eh?
Mm-hmm.
It does.
All right.
But this whole explanation is big and great, but it also sort of doesn't make sense.
Yes, it's a lot. It's a lot of information in a short amount of that time. You, in case you are wondering, thanks to the powers that they've developed, Philip could also, when Philip dies, Philip will also create a memory palace like this one, and exist there afterwards.
Wait, when Philip dies?
Yes.
So my friend Philip, if he dies, then he's going to create a memory palace like this?
That is correct, and he'll be able to live there with his Archon and Diva and keep on guiding other Hermes who are still alive. Others.
What is an Archon and what is a Diva, though? There's nothing here that explains any of that, and Lucius understands that this is high level things that maybe he doesn't grasp right now, but he's very, very interested.
And you've seen the videos where these things are explained. I think.
Well, yeah. Yeah, but Lucius isn't.
Yeah. That's why I'm saying. Yeah, I just don't want to like repeat it like 30 times for when we all know what's happening. So yeah, Alisson starts to explains to explain what archons and divas are, and Apollo also like pitches in when they're contributing to like the history of the world and why people had archons and divas at the beginning. And yeah, you're given an explanation as to the great book and things like this. So I guess you're like caught up to the rest of the group in terms of what the rewriters do. Okay.
Okay, well, now Lucius is part of the team.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess like the real thing is like the introduction to um Allison serves as a bit of a confirmation you're one of us now. Um
Well, yeah, it's a great story, but it takes a little time to get someone else new into that story, but now we're there. Great.
s- so here's the thing. The ability to go inside of the great book, it's we've seen people who've only had an archon or just a diva enter its fang when somebody who had both managed to open the way into a verse, but you have neither, so it might not be possible for you to contribute to the rewriting. But I'm uh, I think if it's I think it would be possible to use the the laser, the laser from the observatory that you used to come here to project Lucius directly into a verse. Uh, what do you think? Uh, uh, I know Stefan isn't here, and he's the specialist of the alchemical aspects of the telescope, but I think it should be able to work, right?
Uh, Philip, if you think you could figure out how, I could probably write whatever we need to get it going.
What What do you mean?
Oh, sorry, write whatever code is needed to change the telescope from projecting into a memory palace to into a verse, if necessary.
It wouldn't be very much different. It's just that it's that the it only like the verses are memory palaces are open at all times, whereas verses are only accessible during convergences. So it's possible it might work just it might just work normally.
Well, it would be good to make sure.
Okay. So you're going to check all of the technicalities of this with the equipment later. Okay, so I guess it's time to figure out now that Lucius Black is part of the team. How are you going to be spending your week to prepare? Philip, do you have any ideas? Theo? I think you're muted, Theo.
Yep, I totally was. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I think Philip would maybe take some time to just go over and review what happens in this time period to see what kind of things are going to be encountering and make sure that he's fully prepared for that, and talking with Lucius as much as he can to make sure that Lucius feels like he's prepared for what's going to happen.
All right. Could you roll for secret history? I'm gonna give you the basics anyways, but or documentation, whichever you have more points in.
Okay. Ah, they're both 0. Let's try secret history just because that sounds cool as hell.
If you take your time we can say this research takes you 2 days, and you have a +3 modifier if you'd like.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that'd be perfect.
Let's do it.
Ooh.
You can still try again 2 other times to do the research.
Take the dark die. You can do it.
Well, even then, it's not a success.
I know, but you'd be taking the dark die.
Yeah, there's no reason to take a dark die here.
You know that's something that one of the game master who introduced me to this game basically that's what he did that to me once. Basically, I was rolling the dice and I had like a 10 and a 1 and he told me, so do you take the darkness die, I guess? And I said, was like, I guess I have no choice. Yeah, I'll do it. And he was like, it's still not a success, but you take a debt. Congratulations.
That's mean.
Yeah. It's like using a game mechanic as a trap or something. You can still try it a third time, Theo, if you want to spend 6 out of the 7 days on this.
I think Philip, as a character, like, would get fed up and just not. Like, he's not a very studious person, so the fact that he spent 4 days on this and isn't gleaning much at all, he's just like, screw it, I'll just fly away the seat of my pants.
Alright. You already have the information about the verse gleaned by your Archon and your Diva, which is that this verse is going to concentrate on the Battle of Elysia, in which Caesar defeated Vercingetorix by outwitting him and using, the resources of his army to beat him despite being outnumbered deep inside of enemy lines and things like this. The moral quandary that is central to the verse is probably going to be about the treatment of the villagers of Elysia that were deeply mistreated by both Vercingetorix and Caesar, who basically left them to die in the no man's land between their two camps. And yeah, that's what you know about the verse. You know it's basically you're going into the story of the battle as the Archon and the Diva of both of these characters told it.
Okay.
So, what is Oliver doing during those days?
Oliver was going to do some hand-to-hand training with Chris.
Okay. Yeah.
Really focused on learning how to dodge stuff.
All right. You had been offered by Alisson the possibility of training inside of one of her memories. Did you take that offer?
Sure.
Okay.
Seems like it could be interesting.
So Alisson is going to take you inside of one of her memories when her team was formed, and so you're like they formed and trained, and basically they had access to the training equipment in the military base where they were at. It was like it's a base owned by NASA. And yeah, you're going to see Alisson is looks older in this memory, and basically like you're going to have those background characters while you're training with Chris. There's also Stefan's wife, who's there.
He doesn't remember because that was a mess.
Her name is Helen Lisowski. And And it's interesting because some of the plants, the plants inside of Stefan's memory palace that represents the memories of her are Helenium autumnale, yellow flowers. And like we planned it together, and it's like we'll see more of this when his memories get restored. So there's her. There's Eric Douglas's uncle, who just looks like an older version of him, basically, who's training. And there's this last person who's someone you've never heard about. Nobody's mentioned this person, and it's this, you know. Hold on. Do I have? I have an image available. This is going to be an important character, so I might as well. Okay, so so I could use this image, but it's a meme. So I'm not going to use it for such an important character.
How dare you?
Yes, we have that on our wall in our staff room at work, trying to tell people how to use a dishwasher, I think. I don't entirely understand, but...
That's amazing.
Go to hell. Straight to hell. Do not ask him.
Okay, what was this character's name again?
Keep telling you the story though, but don't.
Okay, that's yeah. Basically, it's and there's another character who's training with them basically during this time. So yeah, you're going to be training with them, playing out the memory in the background, where you hear them basically preparing their first jump back into their first jump in time. They're talking about how they're going to like about the different problems that they could encounter, and sometimes one of them summons his Archon, their Archon or Divas to like to go over the technical details, and they're also like training physically because they might encounter danger in this scenario. So yeah, that's where you're going to be training. If you want to put any points in fighting skills, now would be a good time to represent this thing. Are you raising anything due to the training?
Dodge and reflexes, because I figure this training is more of Chris throwing a whole bunch of punches and kicks at me, and me trying desperately to stay out of the way.
Nice. Okay.
And I'll be right back. I just have to grab some food.
All right.
I really don't think that there are any points I have.
Yeah, you spent most of your points on your.
I only have one, so.
Yeah, it's fine. You can like start spending those points again later.
I can put that 1 point into anything. It's not going to do much.
Yeah. What else? What are you going to do during this week, Lucius? Like, you're going back in history. You won't be able to bring anything physically with you. And some of your time is spent with Selena Murray, and as she like initiates you more and more, as she finds out like how your powers work. But the rest of the free time, what do you do?
Lucius is going to do nothing except study history. That's it.
Okay. Do you study specifically the history of Julius Caesar, or
Yeah, exactly. If he knows he's going there, he's going to study it.
All right. So you have the choice between rolling for secret history or rolling for documentation, depending on
Oh,
basically.
he's terrible at either of them. It doesn't really matter.
Okay. If it's the same roll. If you take 2 days each, it gives you a +3.
So he has basically a 3.
Yeah, in the modifier. So go ahead and roll.
Well, yeah, he has a 3. So let me get the character sheet here. 1 second.
Secret history is in Aquarius. Third column towards the bottom.
Better documentation.
Documentation is also 0. It's Libra,
Yep.
middle column. Towards,
It really doesn't matter at this point. It's 0. On either of them is 0.
All right, so I'll let you roll to. Okay, still nothing. You can roll 3 times because you have 7 days with the same modifiers.
Well, that's amazing. Yeah, he's not good at this.
Yeah. Do you try again after you've like tried to go through this for the first 2 days, or are you going to do something else? Oh, yeah, you try again. By the way, you're rolling astrology instead of secret history.
It really doesn't
Yeah.
matter. It's a solid 0.
All right. All right. None of these pass. But basically, yeah, you spend your time like absorbing as much details about the time period as possible. You know you're going to be able to impersonate characters from that really well, but you don't get any more insights as to what's going to be happening. Philip, during the last 3 days, what are you going to be doing?
Oh, God. What will I be doing? A question for the ages. Let me look at my skills real quick and see if there's anything that I might want to train in. Let me.
So you do know Caesar was a sort of a leader and had a few points in leadership and stuff like this, but you're pretty sure you could also wing it with your 2 points of strategy. Because let's be honest, you know how the Battle of Elysia went. That like you spend your time studying exactly how it went. You know. If you weren't going to rewrite history, you would know what to do at every step of the way. But since you're going in to rewrite it, you might have to come up with some new plans.
True. Okay. So I might add in a little more on strategy then.
Okay.
And how much XP does it cost to go up a point?
All right. If you want to raise any skill, if you want to raise it from 0 to 2, it costs 2 points. After that, if you want to raise it from 2 to 4, it costs 4 points. From 4 to 6, it costs 6 points. From 6 to 8, it costs 8 points. If you raise it by 2s, it's simpler with this game system.
Yeah.
So basically, if you wanted to raise, you were at what? You were at 2, so that cost you 10 points out of your 33.
All right, got it.
By the way, I am sorry, but because I didn't have, I pierced my foot, I didn't have time to add the Caesar verses to your character sheets.
Oh, you're all good.
But like we know what it does, what they do. One of them hurts someone who's unarmed, and another one makes one object extremely expensive. So your character Yeah, so you're going to be training like you're not putting down the history books. You're just looking at it more from the angle of like what can I learn from the strategies of those smart generals.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. If nobody has anything else to do, I suggest we start the rewriting.
Nope, sounds good.
That sounds good to me.
All right. On the day of the convergence, you all make your way into the vault room and start to calibrate everything in order to teleport you directly into the verse, including Lucius. Crossing your fingers that your first time bringing a human who's not equipped with either an Archon or a Diva isn't just going to end up with his spirit just floating between in the space between the stars forever, or just splattering himself against the entrance of the Great Book. And luckily for you, everything goes perfectly. The telescope projects your spirits into the Great Book, and you, as you're coming closer, you can see that basically those verses, they're two suns rotating each other. And that the emanations of light and darkness of this verse just sort of seem to blur into each other, because you're I don't know if you remember, I mentioned it last time. You're going into two pairs of verses that are connected to each other, Vercingetorix and Caesar's, and you might be able to rewrite both if you make both of their actions the actions of good, but currently you only control the actions of Caesar and his friends. You find yourselves at at the docks of a Roman city. Currently, all of you are walking down towards the ground from a ship, a pirate ship, in fact. This is the point in history when Caesar had been captured by pirates. Philip, do you know what? Sorry, Theo. Do you remember what's the anecdote when he was captured by pirate and held for ransom was?
Oof.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's
It's one of those, like, I feel like I know it, and at the same time, I cannot tell you for the life of me.
it's what the verse "to make an object more expensive" refers to. Basically, the entire time that Caesar was their prisoner, he acted like he was in charge. And when they told him we're asking Rome to pay a ransom of this much, he told them it wasn't enough. He was worth so much more, and that they needed to triple the price. You also know that as soon as he got back to his army, he ordered the capture of the pirates and their crucifixion. You're currently coming down onto, like, you're currently being traded off. The silver's been taken by the pirates already, and the leader of the pirates is going to be controlled by Lucius because it fits your personality most. Oliver, you're inside of the body of someone who's dressed as a doctor, and because you know a little bit about this history, you know that Caesar was followed around by a doctor at all times because he had seizures. It's not certain if he had epilepsy or just or something else that was happening. History isn't very clear about this, but you are Caesar's doctor. Because that fits your skills most. And I believe that no, wait, yeah. And Stefan is also coming to rewrite this verse. I think Chris isn't because Wait, actually, Chris might show up later, and then we'll say that he was controlling somebody else. But Stefan is inside of the body of young Mark Antony, the one of the people in the army who proved their extraordinary tactics during the fight in Alesia and made Caesar adopt him, and he was also the second emperor. That's the body that Stefan ends up in, and yeah, you're walking down there, and basically there's like Roman soldiers waiting to Caesar on the other side of the docks. So what do you do? It's only you guys walking down there, the docks.
We really should have come up with like a hand signal or something to see who's in whose body.
I think
none of
Just
us thought
the
about
three
that
of us,
earlier.
Can I look around us and just see that it's the three of us?
I believe.
Yeah,
do
some
you
hand
use the
signal or
Hermes
something would
sense?
probably been right.
Do you use the Neo Hermes hand signal to just tell each other that you're Neo Hermes?
It's an excellent idea. Yes, Oliver's going to do that and see who responds with it.
Yeah, I think everybody responds. I assume.
Mm-hmm.
Lucius, you know that hand
Yeah,
signal.
of course.
All right. So yeah, you have the small problem that Lucius is now in the body of a pirate leader who was historically crucified for having imprisoned Caesar. So what do you do about this?
I would like to do the same thing that history has made happen.
You want to be crucified?
I want to. Caesar needs to be crucified.
No.
So
It's,
let's do that.
No. Your character, the person whose body you inhabit, historically, he was found by Caesar again and crucified for having. Basically, you held him ransom, and you've been paid in a lot of silver for it, and you're giving Caesar away right now.
So, what is the motivation for either choosing to crucify him or not crucify him right now?
You're inside of the body of the person who, if you followed history's normal course, would have been crucified. So it's they did mention that if you die in the Great Book, you die in real life. And he's gone from roll 20. Kevin?
Scared him away.
Oh, he's gone from Skype as well.
Oh.
If you die in roll 20, you also you die in the real world.
Rip Kevin.
Okay, so Philip, what do you do?
Oh, yeah. So, tell me again where we are. Are we on the boat or like headed towards it?
No. You're heading off of the boat.
Off of the boat. Okay.
Yeah, you're on the docks currently, walking towards a group of soldiers, of Roman soldiers, who are here to, bring you back to Roman civilization after your ransom has been paid.
Okay. I'll kind of just follow along quietly for the time being and just see what happens, and yeah, I'm not gonna do anything too boisterous right away.
Okay. So yeah, you reach the soldiers and all right. You reach the soldiers and you find them saying, saluting you with Ave Caesar. Welcome back. Is there Do you are you hurt anywhere? Is there anything, uh, or have you been fed correctly?
How do I feel?
You feel okay.
Okay, I'll just nod and kind of brush them away and say yes, yes, I'm fine.
All right. Who is this person dressed as one of the pirates?
They are a friend. You need not worry about them.
All right. There's someone who there's someone who's come a long way to speak to you, Caesar. Follow us, please.
Very well.
They take you to a nearby. Let's see. Yeah, we're going to say that there is a tent. There's All right. So basically, you're taken to the outside of the city, and there's what looks like a group of people who've been traveling for a long time. There's an escort, an armed escort, and servants and everything, and they look Egyptian. And you are ushered into a tent made out of a completely white tent, and you find yourself in the presence of someone who is dressed royally and who looks a woman who looks Egyptian and with a very perfect nose, as one would describe it.